All right, thanks, Alex. Well, thanks to the extremely cold temperatures, many of us are being forced to change our spending habits. For instance, maybe you're cranking up the heat or buying firewood already earlier than planned, or you have to go out and buy hats, scarves, or gloves. For more on how these extreme temperatures are impacting our wallets, we're joined now by our business and weather expert, Paul Walsh. Paul, thank you for joining us this morning. And you're telling us that this cold is good news for businesses. Explain yourself, sir.
Well, most specifically, Keith, it's good for retail businesses and retail department stores and specialty apparel stores, because this kind of weather is exactly the kind of weather that they want to have this time of year. Colder than normal, not too much snow on the weekends, hopefully, so people can actually get to the store, but it actually drives sales, and the earlier in the season that it drives the sales, the higher the profit margin that they make. So it's great news for those type of retailers.
And Paul, I can tell you from firsthand experience, I went to the mall yesterday and it was jammed out. If it was nicer, I'm sure that wouldn't have been the case. So yeah. It's been cold and snowing for about a week now, parts of the country. What effects are we seeing already? What are people running out and buying?
Well, they're for the most part, they're buying apparel. And what we saw actually in October last week, a lot of department stores reported their sales, and they reported that sales were down in October. And a lot of it was attributed to the weather. Of course, we had the fourth warmest October on record. When we moved into November, of course, it turned very cold, and that drove this surge in sales. So hats and gloves, boots, all sorts of things like that that you would expect to see later in December are going now. And it's, again, great news for these stores just in time, actually.
All right. And what is the snowblower effect? What does that mean exactly?
Well, what happens is when you have a very cold winter like we did last year, if you recall the polar vortex, we all remember that, especially those of us that are living in the Northeast and the Midwest. So the first time it really starts to get cold, it triggers really bad memories, and it drives people to go buy those kind of products, even if it's not, for example, snowing. So snow blowers, things that you need to prepare your house for winter weather, as well as things like boots, all sort of fly off the shelves as soon as it starts getting cold, whether it's snowing or not. And it doesn't even have to be really cold. It just has to be cold enough to sort of get those memories triggered and get people sort of jazzed up to buy those products.
All right, thank you very much. That is Paul Walsh, a guy who looks good in a mustache way past November. Appreciate that. Alex, back to you.
All right, well, the Arctic air